Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 821, coming to you live from somewhere nowhere, Dallas, Texas. We are coming to you live on LinkedIn, Player One Taco YouTube, 0xDegens YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, Rumble, Kick, on-chain via Unlonely, and on-chain via Filecoin and Soul Media Tech. And we have an amazing guest today. We have Super Genius, aka the one and only Ken, from Genius. And Ken, how are you doing today, man?
Man, I'm very good. How are you, Taco?
I am doing great. It has been a good day. A lot of work done. Scrambling last minute as everyone sort of tries to get things done before they disappear for the holidays.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to disappear to yet, but I have a nice beach somewhere that I think I might disappear to.
I am disappearing to a beach as well. So for those that are joining us on Twitter, huge shout out to all of you guys. If you want to join the conversation, you can either leave questions in the comments or you can join us on video, as there is a big, in the Jumbotron, there is the live video of me and Ken chatting. And so we'll be getting through a lot of this today. Ken, how's Genius doing today?
We're doing, the whole project's doing really well. We launched the testnet last week before that, something like that, to the first 50 users. Of course, there's bugs, in the game. It plays for a while and then it stops. But, we're working to fix all that stuff and then get it onto iOS and OS X or Mac for the people that want to try it on there. That was more to do with Apple, and their getting into their system, and the test flight system is kind of a pain, but it's getting there. We're really close to having that on there. So I'm pretty happy where we can move forward with, marching toward the main net, hopefully, not more than, a month or two in 2025, then we'll have our main net launched and everything like that.
Nice. And so right now, what are people doing on testnet?
Well, really, we have a couple downloads. One of them is the actual Linux that I think we have Linux, Android, and we don't have Windows yet. So Linux and Android, you can download the wallet, and there's a game that you can play on the Linux, which is a shoot 'em up that's kind of cool. But you can also look at the Genius dashboard. If you go to dashboard.gnus.ai, you can kind of see the transactions that are happening on our what we call the Super Genius network. It's really an L1. People kept saying it's kind of an L2, but it really is its own L1 that just bridges to other L1s like Ethereum and Binance and Base and Polygon and soon Solana.
And so the idea being a difference between an L1 and L2 is you're not rolling up to anything, you're settling. Genius is the settlement layer.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and really it's the Super Genius network is all settlement, and it doesn't need any of the other L1s to do everything. And then it bridges more than rolls up. But we can bridge multiple things in. So you burn them in the other L1s, and then you mint them on our L1. So that's the bridge. That's how bridging. That's one way bridging works, and that's what we're doing. And then when we can also bridge multiple assets at the same time. When people want to extract them or bridge them over to, we can aggregate a bunch of bridges together. So it really is an L1. It's not using we don't have EVM. So yeah, I think really if you're an L2, you kind of have to have an EVM, right? Because you're doing L2 stuff and then rolling it up. And we're not really doing that work. We can operate completely outside of the other L1s, and then we just bridge to them because that's where you can exit out the fiat currencies or Ethereum and stuff like that.
Nice. Now, there's been a little bit of FUD around, there was like an exploit, wasn't there? And you guys ended up doing a burn to counter that. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we had an exploit back in May, and we still have not recovered the funds. Hopefully, the new administration allows us to work with the Department of Homeland Security a little better and trying to get the funds recovered. It's been kind of like pulling teeth with them. But, as you know, back when it happened, I put in 500K or I put up 500K as kind of a way for us to be able to buy some of those back. And we ended up using about 250K of that for a while. And then we used some of the fees that we had gathered over, since March to basically burn some more tokens. We just burned some more today. We burned about $300,000 worth of tokens today, also about 30,000 tokens of Genius token. We're down to about 60,000. The original exploit was able to mint 500,000 tokens, and then we've burned 440,000 of those so far, or 437,000 roughly of those tokens already. So we have about 63,000 to go. We have some additional tokens in fees that will unlock some of the Genius tokens in March that we can also burn. So we can burn quite a bit of them come March 5th, but we're going to continue to burn them until we get down to the original amount, which is 1 million tokens out on the Ethereum network. And if you look at the contract, you can see the number of tokens. So you can see anything above 1 million was what we still need to burn, basically.
Nice. And I don't really see too many projects after an exploit, going out of their way of trying to not necessarily, like, you can't recover funds directly for a user per se in any way, shape, or form, but like the entire community at large. And so you've sort of gone, the idea of not my keys, not my crypto means like, hey, you have to protect yourself and at all times, but you guys have sort of taken an extra step to like sort of rebound for the community.
Yeah. I mean, like I said at the beginning, this project's not going anywhere. I mean, I just did that because, the community's been very good to us about really, supporting us in the long haul. And, they kept saying, when testnet? Of course, we've released that now. And I said, when it's ready, really, because I don't want an exploit to happen again. And this project is not about, pumping people's like that. We're more about the artificial intelligence and using it. We call ourselves AI for good, and that's what it's for. That's what it's meant for since 2016. There'll be a lot of money that, will come in after that, because you can see just this burn was really kind of, a preview of what can happen when the AI starts happening, because then it starts automatically doing this. We're just doing it based on fees and transactions and stuff like that, just taking the whole entirety of the Genius that we earn on the fees part of it and just burning it to get back to where we were. Well, when the AI starts happening, it's going to start doing this automatically. So can you imagine, 10% every time you go through one iteration of the outstanding Genius tokens and you do artificial intelligence processing, 10% will be gone every iteration, and that'll just keep going. We don't have any plans on stopping that unless the network slows down, and then we might mint some more. And that's just to basically even out volatility more than anything else.
Yeah. And you guys have had price wise, you guys have had a wild ride, riding up into the above 120 and stuff like that, because there was that short squeeze for it where people were wanting their hands on Genius token, and then as more were getting created and minted out, we've seen you start to settle. Where do you see the price sort of going a little bit?
Well, in general, it's going to go back up to 100, over 100, I think. I mean, just my gut feeling more than anything else. Don't take my word for it. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but I have carefully crafted the tokenomics to make it where it always goes up. And so, who knows? It could take $100 could take, 2 months. It could take 2 years. Who knows at the time? It's really a matter of the AI transaction processing, the number of transactions that are going through. And, I've had some very, very, very good feedback from a lot of business owners and family offices that want to use the AI, because we can charge, 80% plus less than anybody else can. And we have massive nodes available soon, including 200,000 out of the Philippines. And that was just one company that gave us that number of nodes. And so, it's kind of to me, it's a no-brainer. It should be a no-brainer investment for any family offices that have these businesses that are paying exorbitant amounts for compute infrastructure. Well, let's see, I'll make an investment. I'll pre-buy this commodity, this AI processing, and then I can basically use that for AI immediately at an 80% discount. Or I can hold the Genius token while other people are using it and watch it go up, and then my AI actually gets reduced even less. or I make money on it as well. So I can speculate, or I can use it for AI commodity speculation as well, because with the tokenomics built in, how I built this with the burns, if the price keeps going up, right, you're going to have to use less and less Genius tokens to do your AI. So instead of 80% discount today, it may be 99.9999% discount in a year from now, because the prices went up 100x and you have to use less tokens to do the same amount of AI processing, because our AI processing is tied to a set amount in US dollars or US currency. It's actually pennies on the dollar. So it will always behoove somebody to buy it now so that they can use it in the future as well for AI, because it's going to, as it hockey sticks up or as it increases in price, you're going to be paying less and less for AI. So it's kind of this crazy economic / tokenomic system that I developed over the last couple years.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you've worked sort of really hard on. Like, I'm glad you brought up the Philippines deal, right? And that's too, like, so I think that's ingenious, and I'm using that as a punny piece there. For those that don't know, all of the cable boxes from this telecom, you have a GPU in them that really don't do too much. And, you're watching TV. It doesn't take a whole lot of processing power, but they're all connected to high-speed internet. They are now basically getting are they getting their TV and internet subsidized now, or are they just still paying for the full price and it's the company that's earning the money from it?
Yeah, so they will get their subsidy. What we are trying to work out with NextLogic, or what we suggest, is that, hey, just pay your users, 70% of that, because they'll turn around and buy in-game items or in-game purchases and purchases. So I don't really know what NextLogic is going to do. It's really up to them. If they basically say, hey, look, if you let us run the processor, you get all the internet for free, that's kind of a payment out to them. One thing else that I thought about, which is kind of cool about this, if you think about it, our system allows these third world countries or these second world countries, like the Philippines, to basically install this services on these devices throughout the country, and then they can turn around and have their own AI ecosystem, right? And so they don't need to wait for Amazon to build up their big data center. So we're kind of a virtual data center, if you think about it, because now, any country can basically say, hey, install this on your devices, and then we can teach our students and things like that how to do AI, and then we can just use their AI systems instead of, all these high-end GPUs and things like that. And so there's a lot of work being done to get these large language models on, distributed like we do it, or what's called federated learning and federated training.
Yeah. And what's really cool is like these newer AI models that are coming out, like Llama 3.3 that just came out. It's a light client, so it can literally run on one GPU, and so it's really cool to see. The next thing we'll see the even lighter models being able to be used on your phone. We already see in some aspects, but having a powerhouse on your home computer, on your laptop, is pretty awesome.
Well, one thing that I kind of went off on a tangent while I was on an airplane ride with ChatGPT, and I was talking about just how effective this decentralized nature of our product is, and how effective it is compared to 100 or 62H100s. So for every GPU we have, it's 1/62nd the power of a H100. And I was like, well, given the latency of the guys talking to each other, the nodes talking to each other, how do we run into problems because of the sync time between the different nodes, right? And it actually turns out not to be a problem, believe it or not, because it acts a lot like the human brain, believe it or not. The human brain has these synapses and these connections between them that aren't that fast. But what ends up happening is they kind of all operate independently, and then they get aggregated on a layer above that, right? And that's exactly what we do. And so then it finally rolls up to the next thing. But in the meantime, all those nodes are operating independently, so they operate on a huge amount of data independently, and then the next level aggregates them. Can aggregate like 10 nodes, so it could be like 1/10 the data, and then the next level aggregates it. So the latencies don't matter too much, and it effectively, according to ChatGPT, which take with a grain of salt, but in general, this type of federated type of learning and networking, or even LLMs, can actually perform just as well as H100s connected locally, because they still have latency too, right? When those H100s are connecting, albeit 10 gigabit connection interconnects and other kind of interconnects is a lot of power, but otherwise you have to build up like one H100 with a bunch of memory and a bunch of storage space, and the storage space has latency too if you're doing that. So there's trade-offs, but I really think that this is, Genius has the best trade-offs for making this thing, kind of this worldwide mesh network that can be used for AI.
Yeah. Now, when someone first gets into Genius, like, what would be their first stop?
Well, just basically downloading the wallet. It depends on what you want to do. Like if you just want to be a node in the network and earn money, you basically download the wallet, and then, as you're showing here, the testnet dashboard, those are people that have the wallet and that are making transactions. Not only the beauty of our system is it acts as a hybrid AI system and a blockchain at the same time. So to us, a transaction is a transaction. Whether you're doing something called multi-party computation, where you're computing, what the output of a AI input is, the AI data input, or you're doing a transaction that's trading a crypto on, our private network, whether you're trading Genius or an NFT, that's the same to us, no matter what. Just the proof of those particular transactions is a little bit different and a little bit more complicated for the multi-party computation, but that's still a transaction. And that's why we have the jobs that are there. You can submit a job and you can convert, TensorFlow and give us the data. And there's a little JSON form. In fact, if you can kind of check that out, you can connect your wallet and you can look at you can enter it manually, or you can upload a JSON file as well. And that will tell it what to do that. So if you open up that manual thing, you can enter all the data manually like that, or you can sit there and upload a JSON file with all that data in there, where you can basically tell it, here's the data that I want to process. Right now, we have a sample of processing a bunch of images that identify joints and other features of a human being. And so you can upload that in there, and then it'll just go off of processing, and all the nodes will split it up and take care of the process, and then send you back the data wherever it picks it. Right now, I think our test job is doing it back and forth between IPFS storage, but there's no reason you have to use IPFS. You can use HTTPS, FTP, anything like that you want to do. One other thing that I learned that we'll probably talk about in a minute, I know I'm kind of rattling off a bunch of stuff pretty quickly, is the security behind this. And I have a great analogy from a friend that I'll kind of discuss maybe a little bit later on that.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things to where, where would, I know where to go for pulling like Hugging Face and stuff like that, but where would someone find a model, and where would the average user use this?
Well, in general, the average user would have to convert the model, and we have a command line interface for doing that. So that's not an average user. That's more of a tech person. But we should probably, I thought about this, and we're probably going to have some kind of store, or portal where you can go find models that you want to use and put them in here. We haven't built a lot of those yet because we've been just mainly focusing on the infrastructure working and all that, but that's pretty minimal for us to build. There's already a bunch of model stores out there, where you can download models and things like that. But this is usually a conversion from TensorFlow or some other machine learning shader language into MNN, which is the mobile neural network that allows you to create these mesh networked federated learning and training.
And one of those things that you have within like the updates within the MNN, the mobile neural network, you're getting ready for like some SDK launches on games as well.
Yeah. So we already have one of we're our first 50 kind of testers or people that we've let into the system are running a game, a shoot 'em up. And while they're running the shoot 'em up, they're actually earning Genius because it's running AI in the background. We've put that out before. We've done demos on that. But 50 of those guys, I think there's probably 10 Android users that are available. We're working on the iOS version of it and the Mac version of it. Also, if you just download the wallet, then it's running as a node while the wallet's open. We're also going to be making it where that can be installed as a service. When you open up the wallet, it'll just install a service so that when you close the wallet, it'll be operating in the background on PCs like on Windows. Windows has been giving us a little bit of problem. What else is new? But the OS X, the Mac version, and the Android and Linux and iOS versions are pretty much operating on testnet. We just haven't doled them out to the other testers yet, the iOS version. We've doled them out in Linux and Android versions of things. And then I have another game that I'm kind of working on, but that won't be ready for a few months, but we'll probably launch that as a free-to-play kind of game.
Do we get any alpha on what kind of game it is?
Sure. Let me share my screen here. I'll show you. I opened up Unity to show you. I've been working on this for a few years, but I wanted to get Genius done first, and this will be like one of my first games that I'll launch on Genius. Here, I'll present, share the screen here, window, I guess this one. All right, so you can see that? Yeah, all right. Basically, I'm in Unity right now, and that's a Unity window right there. And so what it is all these guys, actually, I will change screens here, present, because I want to show you the actual, this part of it. Okay, so this is the Unity editor, and I'm pretty familiar with this, and this is the models. And this guy right here that you can see, this is Neo. It's called Neospace. And so on GitHub, I've actually documented this and the characters and kind of the game behind the game design, really. And what it is you act like a, so if I use, let me see if I can scroll out here a little bit, it's a little slow. This is like one of the levels. These levels will be auto-built, but I just put together a small little level. And they'll be inside a spaceship. And all these will be like bosses and the guys that are down here, and some of them that are lined up with Neo over here are kind of your, you can run as one of those players as well. But most of these are bosses and minions in the level. And what happened is, the story behind it is that these aliens have taken these spaceships and are ripping them apart for the power supplies in them, these power modules in them. And so what your job is you have a non-lethal kind of way of recovering that stuff, including, you know, a shrink ray that can shrink the stuff, or things that can ice the different characters and all that. So there's no lethality in it, no lethal killing in this game. I don't particularly like first-person shooters where you're just, you know, seeing blood splatters and all that. And so what ends up happening is you'll be running around this ship collecting these modules and ship parts, because they're tearing apart the ships. And then you'll bring it back to the bay, and you'll assemble it with like this little device that assembles the ship back out, and you'll fly the ship out into the bay, out into space, and then you'll do a shoot 'em up where you'll be fighting the aliens. And basically what you're doing is, when you hit the alien ships, they kind of go into a portal, and, you know, they disappear into another dimension. Well, I guess that dimension can be HE double hockey stick, you know. So I guess that is sort of killing them or whatever, but not really, you know, not violently killing them. It's just transporting them into other dimensions.
It's like a Pokemon type of thing.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. But you're doing it with a kind of a Galaga or a shmup, a shoot 'em up, with you know, fighting their their ships that they're flying around, kind of in a Galaga or a Galaxian type style thing, but more the 2D shmup that we already have out is going to be tied to that. But this is more like an adventure shoot 'em up. So you also will be able to generate your own levels and with random numbers that you can turn into an NFT in the game and then sell on the Genius Network. It's all tied to the Genius Network, and when you go through and earn, once you fly the ship back, you'll actually earn tokens in the game, and they'll be Genius tokens or Neo Space tokens that are child tokens of the Genius token. But in general, so like if I stop the screen, you'll see present the full one here. I can start the game here. Let's see if in Unity. So you can actually run around already. Well, now it's importing assets. So hold on, when it does that, there we go. Okay, so now you can see that, they're animating, and here's Neo running around inside the level. He'll be fighting these guys, and actually if you double click on him, he shoots. Well, let's probably bring him back this way so you can actually see him. Oh, of course, he turned around to do it. Come this way. You can sneak too. So yeah, if you're sneaking, so you can sneak around, and then you can walk and run, and then he fires his gun. Actually, is the one that'll shoot out the different types of things, the shrink ray or the freeze ray, or transport you into another dimension thing. And there'll be all kinds of puzzles inside the spaceships as well that all be auto generated based on either your private key for Genius and things like that. So it's going to be tightly integrated, completely free. You'll actually earn money while you're playing the game, and then people can turn around and sell their levels that they auto-generated and stuff like that, and we'll have like kind of a leaderboard of what the best levels are and things like that. So I've been working on this for a few years, but not very much time, like maybe a couple hours a month at the most. But for me, this is kind of me wanting to get back to the old school, Ken that used to write video games, and so this will be kind of one thing I'll kind of focus on.
The old school Ken that used to like video games. So does that mean you don't like where video games are right now?
No, I used to like to write video games. I still like to play video games. I mean, I don't know what I played recently. I like the shmup that we put out. I like playing that one. I forget what I played recently, but I haven't had much time to play because I've been, focused on getting Genius testnet out, and this game, I've had a little bit of time to work on that, and plus, all the other administrative stuff that goes along with running a company. Like I was in Miami last week talking with a bunch of family offices and did a call there, because one of the beautiful things about the new administration is their promise to make American crypto zero tax rate in order to get that. And as you saw, there's $100 billion coming in from Matsu-san, the guy from
SoftBank.
Yeah, SoftBank, yeah. And so, and then Trump got him to try to do 200 billion. But in general, the policies there are the right-on way to do things, because, if you try to stifle innovation like the past policies have tried to do, then people just move out of the country, right, and start to do things. And I almost did that. But now that the nice policies are in place for me to be able to innovate with AI, and Trump said this when he recently when he was in the Ring the Bell session, and Kramer was interviewing him. He said, "Hey, AI is going to be an American thing, and crypto is going to be an American." He said crypto and AI is going to be an American thing, and if he's true to his word and can get Congress to pass a 0% tax rate based on American crypto, then we're good, because we were born in Wyoming, Genius AI with the crypto in 2016, and so it's all good. That's going to be. Oh, so anyway, the point of that is that when I was talking to family offices, they're interested in kind of enhancing their portfolio, but they're thinking ETFs with Bitcoin, but you don't get the exposure to all these companies that are doing AI and crypto. And so I said, hey, here's another way to do this. If you come in with Genius, we have all these verticals that are going to be working on the Genius system, like the gaming companies and Next Logic, for instance, and stuff like that. So you can get exposure to all these companies that are doing AI just by either investing in Genius or joint venturing with us to go into the vertical that you want to go into. And so it was a presentation that I made to a bunch of family offices in Miami, and very, very receptive to it as well. I got a bunch of people that want to talk to me this week about it. So that's cool, because that kind of grows the whole entire, Genius Ventures and Genius AI ecosystem.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there. Did you go to, so you were in the family office week before last. Did you go to NERPS this past week?
No,
up in Vancouver?
No, I was in familyoffices.com, the event there, which ran all week pretty much. I was there from like Sunday night till Friday the 13th of all things. Luckily, my birthday was Saturday the 14th. That just passed.
Yeah, man. Last week was a crazy week for me. I spent the week in Puerto Rico. I gave a presentation at a university last Monday. Then Tuesday, Wednesday was Tokenize and Bid Angels. Thursday was ETH San Juan. And then from there, I traveled from San Juan to Dallas, went to a different airport. Then I went to Denver to go visit one of our data centers out there, because we have about 36 colos, at some of these tier 3 and tier 4 data centers, and I got to go visit one of ours there. So it was sort of good to see, planning sort of something for ETH Denver. So that was sort of fun. I don't know, what's you like to make not a splash, but you like to make a presence at different conferences around the world. What's your next conference?
I'm thinking it's probably going to be Game Developers Conference is going to be one for sure.
GDC?
GDC 2025. I think we're going to have a table there, but we need to kind of break it up, because we have different verticals. Like Graffiti Entertainment needs to make a presence there, that they're using Genius, because last time we went, all the game developers wanted to sign up, which is great. But Graffiti Entertainment, when they launch all their games and they're showing, the amount of income, that's going to be good for us. And then the crypto conferences, Genius AI, of course, but Genius AI can go to crypto and AI conferences. There's so many of them, it's hard to keep up. And then the family offices is Genius Ventures, which is kind of my own family office, and the ability to talk with other family offices about joint venturing into these different spaces, especially at a 0% tax rate. That's got to be very, very attractive to family offices, especially if it's a 0% tax rate on all the gains. Plus, you can get AI at 80 to 90% discount. For your businesses, it almost seems too good to be true, but it's not.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things like so at Manifest, one of the things that I went and did, and I talked to a lot of people about, this might be one of the last heaviest tax years for a while. So one of the cool things within section 192 and 197 is the write-off of hardware. And so we were out pushing a bunch of our physical node hardware as well. And so we're seeing a lot of that pushing from a lot of different AI companies, where they buy hardware, we rent it from them, and they get their first disbursement next month, meaning they get to write off everything as a family office from this year, and then next year everything in that capital gains piece. And that's a gamble right now, but it's a highly big gamble, more than, closer to happening than not happening at this point.
Right. Yeah, the of all the systems that are going on there, we're going to have all the dynamic nodes and the low end nodes, but there's no reason you can't install Genius on your data center nodes as well. There's no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're just in their idle and nobody's using them, then why not, farm it out to be used in the federated learning side of things. So, I mean, even BitTensor and Render and all those guys, all those nodes that have signed up, or even Akash Network, can install our service too. So I'm not too worried about those guys, because I hear Akash only has like 70 nodes or something like that. And
Akash has more than that. Greg has more than that going on.
Okay, somebody told me 70 when I was at a thing, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever size nodes they have is going to be minuscule in comparison to what we have, but we can still leverage their nodes, and the Akash people that are giving their nodes to Akash, can also install our system. There's nothing that prevents them from doing that at all.
Yeah. No. Now, one of the big questions that people will always have, like if they buy now, but they might not be able to use it, is there going to be like a staking play at all, or how can they go back and support the network?
So this is kind of funny. No, actually, it's kind of got built in. There is no staking, but what it has is it has built-in similarities to staking. The longer you hold it, the more it goes up because of the burns, right? And so even though you may it's almost like a constant. As long as you hold all of it, it'll go up probably because of the burn mechanisms and all that. And we've tried to be very careful about not giving out too many of our tokens for people to bash the market with them. And so, but in reality, it's not going to be an issue when we launch the AI, because it's going to be constantly churning transactions and burning that stuff. And so it's going to be, people that want to sell them they'll probably be able to very quickly. And I'm sure a bunch of family offices will be able to buy them. So there's no really staking to it. It's really kind of built in, like I said, with the burn mechanism. You just hold to them. As long as you hold to them, you decide when you want to exit. It'll just, as we burn them, it should increase in price.
Nice. And we'll see. So what other ways can people support the network and support you and everything like that?
I think the biggest thing that we kind of need is some people to really start to, pre-buy the GNUS AI commodity in these large family offices. We don't have a huge amount of tokens in the float right now. I mean, I think there's like, on Ethereum, there's like 1 million tokens in the float, if that. I'm not even sure. I need to look at it. But in general, the more that we get the family offices to realize, it's going to take some migration, right, for them to migrate their existing systems. And so what we'd end up doing in some of the joint ventures, which we've talked about, is to, hire somebody or build a company like Deloitte that comes out and will migrate you, right, and just pay them based on a percentage of the money or the compute power that you need versus how much investment you want to make in that. And so even if you wanted to use that compute right away, you're not going to be able to do it in some of these systems because you have to migrate over to our system, which we've kind of reduced almost zero friction, but it still takes, undoing the old processes, putting your new models over there and all that. But we can still leverage, other compute besides just the AI side of things. We can leverage rendering on the GPU, but we can also launch Docker containers and all that kind of stuff just by leveraging like run on flux.io and using their kind of systems, and that their systems can install GNUS and at the same time, run on Flux and Docker containers, or even one of you guys, if you guys have your places that you're running straight up Docker containers. We kind of shied away from that just because there's a lot of security risks with that, but our AI has really, really small risk of security, even though it doesn't, the base shaders and TensorFlow models do not do fully homomorphic encryption, but there's a reason, and they probably don't even have to, because of the way we slice it up. If you think about it, it's like if you have go with the beach analogy. If you have all those grains of sand and you got 2 grains of sand, but you don't even actually know they're grains of sand, you just know they might be like, one of the chemicals that makes up a sand, or one of the isotopes that make up a sand, or whatever it is, the silicon dioxide. You may know that you have a silicon dioxide and another component of sand, but you don't know you're a piece of sand really. And so, and then you only have 2 pieces of sand out of the whole entire, beach. It's kind of encryption, not really. It's more obfuscation at the maximum, in my opinion. But there's no reason that there should be any fear of privacy leaks or anybody being able to take your data and then recreate it or use it for their own benefit.
Now, so right now you're on 4 chains: Polygon, BSC, Base, and Ethereum. Where do you consider home right now?
Ethereum, really, but Polygon's was the original one, but right now it's Ethereum. But you have to realize, since we're our own L1, there's no real base there, because they're all going to have the exact same smart contracts, and it just depends on where the person wants to roll out his Genius earnings to, when he's doing the AI processing. So in general, it's where everybody's comfortable. In fact, we have a request for going on Solana, and I have a new smart contract writer that's going to start looking at that on Solana too. You have to realize that we trade NFTs too, right, and in-game items, and so we cannot be on anybody's chain, but we can leverage their chain to for trading the NFTs, moving the NFTs across to other games and things like that. So if you want a game specifically on Solana, you just link to Genius. You don't really have to specifically be on Solana. You can just be a game and on the Super Genius network and just write a good game. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I on Solana or am I on Ethereum? Yeah, sure, you're on all of them, whatever one you want. So It's not really up to you. It's up to the customer and the player where they want to extract and trade their items at, or what chain they want to. It's up to them. They basically say, hey, I want to. In fact, you don't even need to go on other chains. You could trade it on the Super Genius network. You could send the in-game items to another Super Genius network-enabled game and blockchain, and then there's no gas fees. Or if you want to trade it out to Solana and sell it on OpenSea, or actually on Ethereum or Polygon, you want to sell it on OpenSea, you can do that too. Smart contracts allow for all of that.
And so you've gone from the aspect of what's the word here? So like your Ethereum, Base, and BSC are all are you using layer 0 technology for using the same contract, or did you deploy via like Axelar?
No. We deployed our own smart contracts and duplicate contracts on all of them. And so they act as a bridge. They have bridging functions built into them with something called ZK Snarks. That's what we're working on, because the Axelar bridging was where the exploit happened for us. And so now we're kind of building our own bridge. We don't have to, but in general, it just seems, since we're already doing a bunch of ZK Snark stuff anyway internally, why not just use ZK Snarks to roll that up so that you can actually prove that the transaction is real and not from a rogue actor and things like that. And so we've tried to build all that in. In fact, we filed a few patent pendings recently on a lot of the work we did to make sure that the bridging was more secure.
Yeah. Now, all right, because I noticed that you're using the same contract address for your Base, Ethereum, and BSC. Polygon is a different address, and so, but you're going to be where's the major liquidity at right now?
Yeah, the major liquidity is in Ethereum, basically.
Okay.
There's a little liquidity in Polygon. There's none in BSC or Binance. But once we launch the mainnet and we have our bridging capability, the liquidity will be cross-chain. So all of that liquidity will come and go on Ethereum or Binance, and so it'll kind of, aggregate together into one big pool, really.
Yeah. Now, do you see like a big play coming on with like being interoperable behind the scenes and having anyone, are you targeting any specific chains is what I'm trying to say? Because like a lot of people get married to their chain, and there's great communities on every chain, and be like, are you going to foundations and being like, hey, we can do some extra stuff for you on your chain. What can we get for that?
We haven't targeted anybody because, like I said, we have our own chain, and we've talked to a bunch of them. But since we're chain agnostic, they're not really up for giving us, specific money to implement something on their chain, really. And I'd rather not take their money if they're so, they want to be number one. I'm like, I don't care who's number one. It's like whatever falls out, falls out. We have our own chain, and it can go to any of you guys, and its only purpose is to bring you out to fiat currencies, really. That's its only purpose, the other chains. It's not that we're doing any, that's it. We're not doing any AI on there. We're offloading all that. So, by the way, we're on BRC20 too. There's a GNUS on BRC20 token. So we'll be able to go out to Bitcoin. And that's the whole point, is like we're bridging so that you can go out to the different currencies, whatever that be, whatever choice you want.
All right. That's pretty nice. What other things you got going on? I know a lot of things going on, but for those that are listening in, huge shout out to everyone that's watching us on video. I think we got about 300 people. Shout out to everyone on Rumble. We got about 300 people watching us on Rumble. We have a whole bunch of people watching us out on Twitch and on Twitter. And so huge shout out to all of you for joining us today as well. But what else do you have going on?
Well, we have some swag stuff going on, believe it or not. Let me show you real quick.
We got swag. We like swag.
Yeah, so I've been printing these, and I took these to the family offices, and I've been giving these away at Game Developer Conference, but we're setting up a store because so many people have been requesting this. And so this is the GNUS t-shirt. It says, yeah, you probably have that. And on the back, it says negative friction monetization. And we give these away usually at these conferences and stuff like that. But we're gonna put them online to sell them, because there's another really nice pullover like this one, but it's a GNUS logo one. And so people have been requesting this too. We're gonna put some t-shirts on there. They just love the logo. Everybody loves the logo. And 90% of them that are over 20 understand that that's Albert Einstein, but the other ones. And then there's this nice sweatshirt, that I designed that has the GNUS logo, wherever that is on the side right here, that has that. That's actually embroidered on there. I'm going to lighten this a little bit. I think it's a little too dark, but so these are really, really nice sweatshirts. My wife loves them, and they're really comfortable, and the brand is Jerseys, and it's a new blend. They're really, really nice.
Nice.
And coloring is good. So we're trying to launch our store for that, where you can purchase them, but these are going to be, kind of premium items, because those are a little more expensive than the self-printing ones. But I'm going to probably print a bunch of those and send them off to like the admin's house to ship them out, so I don't have to do it. And but they're kind of cool to give away.
Nice. I might have to hook you up with an awesome company out here in San Antonio that does some really cool stuff. They also do the cool RFID chips as well. So like you could you want to see the GNUS dashboard at any time? Boom, tap the shirt.
Nice. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else do we have going on? These are some of the devices you mentioned NextLogic. So I'll pull the power off of this one. So this is one of the devices. This piece is half of set-top boxes you mentioned in the Philippines. And this is called an Orange Pi, and this is just one half of it. The other half on this side of these set-top boxes is the networking side of things. But as you mentioned, in particular, when you're playing video on these guys, they're barely touching the GPU. But in general, you can buy those off of Amazon, and these are like $25, something like that. And
it's almost like a Raspberry Pi.
You have an AI processing node for like $25.
Is that a Raspberry Pi in there, or what is that running?
Yeah, it's an Orange Pi. They call it an Orange Pi, but it's a Raspberry Pi, basically.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we specifically made sure that Raspberry Pis work with our system. It has to be 64-bit, though. We tried 32-bit, but a lot of those guys don't have the right GPU drivers until you get to the 64-bit versions of Raspberry Pi.
So are you getting any pictures yet from the community of like them having a whole bunch of Orange Pis all like running in parallel, set up and stuff like that?
No, because we've only allowed 50 people to come in, and it's a split. It's like, 15 people are on iOS, 10 people are on Mac, 20 people are on Linux. And so we've kept it very, very close. We're going to expand that probably over the next, well, not the next couple of weeks because everybody's going to go on vacation, but soon after, January 1st, maybe towards mid-January, which is, only 30 days away. We'll start bringing on more and more, and we'll probably launch a test net in the Philippines, hopefully soon, with all their devices as well to start it running. But again, back to that, I mean, it's like we've had the set-top box company, or the internet service provider, is only the third largest in the Philippines, and they only have 200,000 nodes. We talked to the second largest, and they have 1 million nodes. Don't even know how many the first largest ISP has, or whether they have these type of nodes or not. But they all seem to have 2 gigabit fiber optic connected. So that's a beautiful. 200,000 nodes is a beautiful interconnected node network, acting like a human brain almost.
Yeah. And so, like, what's your selling pitch to telecoms like that?
They want to use the AI as well as provide the AI. And so that telecom came to us and said, hey, we're doing AI for these basketball games. We're doing motion tracking on these basketball games because we have 4 cameras in these little prefectures, with like 10,000 people in there. And we don't have the manpower to go out and figure out how to follow the ball with 4 cameramen and stuff like that, because they're like high school basketball games, but they treat them like the NBA. And so we actually use AI for that stuff as well. So we can, you're telling us, what we told them is like, okay, well, so you can provide the AI, to your country and your, these little prefectures and the rest of the world. And then basically they can start making money from the rest of the world. And then the cost, not the cost, but the payments are enough for, the Philippines, that it's like, hey, look, if you increased it by $100 a month, you're doubling their income. Right. Yeah. And so it's kind of a no-brainer sale. And I put up some sheets together, a kind of a couple of sell sheets, really, based on whether you're a CTO or whether you're this or whether you're that. And it's got good reception because it's like, okay, well, if we can do that, that's great. And so we're going to have to hire, though, an army of people like from Deloitte to go out to the Philippines because they want white glove service. That's the only problem. We're trying to make it where you can do it all yourself, but they want us to do it for them. And then a lot of the family offices want us to do it for them. It's like, oh, this sounds great. When can you do it? Right? It's like, well, no, we can hire Deloitte to do it, but we are not big enough to come out to you and integrate this or migrate all your systems over to this. That's going to take a while to do, but they're all up for it. But they keep leaning on us saying we want white glove service, and I'm like, can't do that right now.
Oh man, it's one of those things to where, you as you're building a team, you're getting someone like Deloitte, and you're getting other people. Like I know some of my friends are working really heavy with Deloitte Wine. Deloitte has a whole wine section for luxury wine, and they're integrating their wine AI with Deloitte. And Degen is doing some awesome things. And I don't know, there's just a lot of craziness going on in AI nonstop. So the two big questions on this, what do AI models have been recently given dual use designation by the United States government. That yes, they are able to be used for commercial use, individual use, but then they've also been labeled as a weapon by the U.S. government because who knows what it can do. Where are you? And you're in the thick of it. You're in Silicon Valley. What's it like on the ground there?
Well, a lot of talk, really, about how we're going to work with regulation, and even California's tried to do some regulation. But it's like yin and yang, or AI for good or AI for evil, right? It's a tool. You can use it however you want it, right? And yeah, you can use it as a weapon, but I'm doxed. I call myself AI for good, and my intention with my models is to cure cancer. That was the original intent, or do AI for good. Yeah, people can use it, but it's like, okay, you're going to stop producing hammers because somebody, or cars because somebody can, mow you down with a car or hit you in the head with a hammer? No. And so that's why I think it's ridiculous. And trying to regulate specifically the U.S. is really, in my opinion, one of the dumbest moves, because you can't regulate everybody else around the world, right? So you can just use AI to fight AI, in kind of an AI war, make sure they're doing it for good. And that's how I think it has to go. Regulations aren't going to help.
Yeah, no, and we've seen that, like, especially regulation in the U.S. has pushed a lot of stuff overseas and into the hands and arms of other countries and other people. But, now with, yes, it is administration change that's going to be happening in 33 days. I still say affectionately regime change, and it's one of those things to where it's an interesting play, as we see tech companies wanting to come back to the US as well, because everyone sort of wants to have a base of operations in the US, but they're afraid of what that regulation might mean.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. It's akin to like sending nuclear weapons to all other countries and then not building them yourself, or not building a defense system, like sending AI to all the other countries in the world and then stifling your own innovation so you can't fight against it. And so all the banks will have all that AI out there being done for good, but we're not going to use AI to kind of combat it. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. And it's it's an interesting play there. We'll see, like, as much as people we'll see people sort of get into that aspect of where they're not, I hate using this term, handicapped almost.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting aspect to sort of see how people sort of get their AI almost, hogtied.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is great, player Taco. Yeah, I really appreciate you doing these things. We'll have to do more. We're going to be going on a couple other panels with some high-end influencers, and so I'm thinking about maybe inviting. What's that?
Can I say who I know?
Yeah, sure. I think it's public knowledge, but
I can't wait to see you on Mario.
Yeah, it's Mario and Uffle. Yeah, and then I'm thinking, I think it's a panel, so I'm thinking maybe inviting you, and then I have another AI company that I met recently that's funded by Draper, I think, and they're talking about. I invited her to come on and talk AI stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And I know there's a bunch of internal stuff that being able to be in the know and not knowing what you can talk about and what you can at certain times, you just sort of like a little ball of energy and joy. I'm excited.
Announcement anyway, so I told you go ahead, and so I don't know if we announced it, but anyway, we'll be on there probably. I don't know, we should set it up sometime soon, maybe just after the new year or something.
Yeah, and that'll be an awesome time. I can't wait till you get more able to expand the wallet use case for Windows people, and
that should be. It mostly works. It's just there's some bugs that prevents it from doing certain things. It mostly works.
Yeah, but this is almost like a grass node or one of those other nodes, a koi node that people can download and run in the background and runs in parallel and doesn't really affect their daily operations, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So if people are wanting to contribute to the development of AI, if people are wanting to contribute to the GNUS network and AI for good, please look at running a node. Give GNUS a follow. If you're joining us on stage, you can find them at GNUS AI, GNUS AI on Twitter. If you're in the video, you get to see mine and Ken's beautiful faces because That's what we work for, is humanizing the robots, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you. I do have to run. I have another meeting here.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the time, Taco. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Ken, always a pleasure, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We had an amazing time with Ken from GNUS AI. Let me pull up their Twitter. So you guys, if you are joining us just via video, you can find them. And you can find Ken and see everything that's going on there. Let's do this. There he is. And so, yeah, right there. So GNUS AI, like I said, GNUS AI. A lot of things are coming online for GNUS and for Ken. And I've known Ken for almost 2 years now. So it's been an amazing ride to see GNUS expand and grow and continue to build. And seeing testnet launch, that's one of those babies situations where you get to sort of see it and test it and put it out for the world to see and be judged on. And so it's a huge thing as a founder, as a builder, and as a team to sort of see that grow. So super excited to see what GNUS does next. And, you know, as the games come along, for those that don't know Ken, he has a huge history on game development and game building, almost 30 years. And so super excited to see as this grows and as this develops. I'm super happy with this. I hope everyone is having an amazing day, and we will see you next time. And as always, we end with the same two things, our words of wisdom and the greatest worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet. Our words of wisdom are always the same. A closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity, opportunity can never come a knocking. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us for TacoBytes, your Daily Bite of Degen, episode 821, coming live. And thank you to everyone on LinkedIn, Player One Taco YouTube, 0xDegens YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, Rumble, Kick, on-chain via Unlonely, and on-chain via Soul Media Tech. Everyone have a great time. And as always, we end with the greatest worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet in honor of those that come before us and in memory of those that come after us. Knock, knock. Who's there?